My name is Lisa North, and I'm 33 years old. I'm a cosmetic surgeon. 3 years ago, I opened my own clinic, which is a small place, but it had always been my dream. Until then, I was working at a university hospital. After my period as a medical intern was over, I spent my Saturdays and Sundays training in cosmetic surgery, and I had almost no time off. Since I was a child, I always got absorbed in one matter, and always worked too hard when there was something that I wanted to accomplish. When I was studying to get into university, there was a time when I suddenly collapsed on the way to school. So training for a cosmetic surgeon exhausted me, but I was able to work hard because I knew I was on my way to fulfilling my dream. My current husband, Sean, is the one who supported me throughout the process. He works in the administrative department at the same hospital, and is 5 years younger than me. We met at a farewell party for one of the daughters, and since then, we would say hello to each other whenever we saw each other in the hospital. Like me, he gets absorbed in matters, but he is very kind and hardworking man. I am spending busy days as mentioned, but in addition to this, I'm preparing for my clinic, even sacrificing hours of my sleep. I spend my break time, my time at home, all of my time to create my ideal clinic. I often do not eat, and when I do, it is mostly microwaved food. One day, I get dizzy while at the hospital. I wobbled, and Sean, who was watching nearby, runs to me and holds me, stopping me from falling. When he hears about my lifestyle, he becomes so worried that he says he will come to my house to cook for me. He says, "If you continue like this, you will definitely collapse. All the hard work you've put in will be ruined. I can't help you with the opening of your business, but I can help you take care of your health. Please, can you let me help you?" I am surprised at first, but I do feel that if I go on like this, my body is not going to allow me to continue. I don't know much about Sean, since we had only talked a little, but I had heard what a kind man he was from my colleagues, so I decided to ask him for help. Sean is an amazing cook. It seems his mother is a nutritionist, which also allowed him to learn about food, so he cooks very healthy meals for me. The time we spend together talking and eating the meals that he makes becomes a time of healing for me within these crazy busy days. On the first day that he comes to cook dinner for me, we spend time talking a lot. I find that we get along very well, and that time flies with him. It isn't long before we start going out, and it is all thanks to Sean that I'm able to open my clinic in a healthy state. Once I open my practice and get even busier, we decide to get married. After some discussion, Sean agrees to stay at home and do the housework. "Hey honey, I cooked us some steak today." "My favorite! Looks delicious." Before I come home, I can always smell the wonderful cooking, even before I open the door. My husband greets me with a smile. Since we got married, he has been doing the housework perfectly. Because I started my business at a young age, there has been a lot of backlash, and there are many struggles. But knowing that Sean is at home waiting for me, I am able to overcome anything. Running a hospital for the first time is tough, but the number of clients is gradually increasing, and I always have such a delicious meal waiting for me when I return home. On my occasional days off, Sean and I go to spas or theme parks and enjoy our time together. I don't know what I've done to deserve these amazing days with my husband. As we are living in the apartment that I originally lived in on my own, I am the one paying the rent. I make sure that more than half of my earnings is wired into our account for living expenses, and I leave Sean in charge of managing our expenses, including the payment of the utility bills. Since he is taking care of the house, I want him to spend any of the leftover money as he likes, so that I make sure to wire more than necessary every month. Thanks so much for always taking care of the house. You're always such a great help. You can spend the rest of the money on whatever you want, you know? This is what I would always say to him. Well, cooking's my hobby, so maybe I'll buy the new frying pan, is what he would reply. And in addition, he would say, Look, we've already saved this much. We'll save up a little bit more, and when you're not too busy with work, let's go on a vacation. Sean not only does the housework perfectly, but also manages the household budget very well. He does everything so perfectly that I'm worried that he may be pushing himself too hard. I think it would be better if he found a hobby or met with friends and took a break from housework once in a while. Even thought I have these thoughts, I don't know how to say this to him. And combined with the business from work, the days go by without my mentioning anything. However, one day, after about 1 year since we got married, when I come home, I do not smell Sean's cooking at all, and he comes to the door with a flustered look on his face. I'm sorry, I must have dozed off. I haven't made dinner yet, so I'll make it now. That's unusual of you, but it's totally fine. Let's cook together. My husband teaches me, and we cook dinner together. It is unusual of him to be like this when he is always so perfect, but I feel it's nice to cook together once in a while. However, the same thing happens frequently after that. It was not only cooking, but other household chores as well. I would come home and find laundry in the washing machine. He must have washed them in the morning and left them there. Sometimes the dishes from breakfast are left lying on the table as well. It doesn't seem like he's gone grocery shopping either, and when there is nothing in the refrigerator, I begin to think that something is wrong. The reason is always different. He could be sleeping or feeling unwell, and I cannot tell what the real cause is. I would find out the actual cause 6 months after the first time Sean didn't cook dinner. When I come home, the house is very quiet. Sean doesn't rush out to see me either. The breakfast dishes are still on the table, and the laundry is also still in the washing machine. It is so quiet that I think my husband is not there, but I look into each room and find him there playing video games, wearing big headphones, mumbling something, and surrounded by gaming equipment that I have never seen before. Sean, what are you doing? I tap him on the shoulder, and he looks back at me with a surprised look on his face. At first, he seems to be panicking, but for some reason, he suddenly smiles and says to me, Oh, Lisa, you're home. Sorry I kept this secret for a while, but I've actually found a new hobby. You know this game? It's really fun, you know. Once I start playing, I can't stop. Seeing my husband looking so happy, I'm immediately at a loss for words. It seems that he has been hiding the gaming equipment from me till now. Of course, it is a good thing to have a hobby, do something you like once in a while, and I don't mind if he skips the housework at times. However, I am a little concerned that he is so absorbed in it that he didn't even notice that I had returned home. I'm glad you have a new hobby now. I don't know much about games, but it sounds like fun. But it would be great if you could do the housework when you can. I choose my words carefully, so as not to hurt Sean's feelings. I'm sorry. I started in the morning and got carried away. I didn't realize the time. But there's a tournament for this game coming up. I think I can make it to the top, so I wanted to practice. I am surprised to hear that, while I was working away from home, Sean had been playing these games for over 10 hours. Seeing my husband playing these games, I realized that this is a Sean I have never seen before. But after our conversation, he cooks dinner for me as usual, and we enjoy the food together. The day ends without me being able to say anything else to him. I guess he was just a little too focused on the game, but since then, my husband has changed. He stopped doing the housework altogether. And that's not all. When I leave in the morning, he's still sleeping. He wakes up around noon and plays games until dawn. He doesn't seem to want to cook. When I buy home food, he will stop playing the game for a while, but will quietly eat his meal within 10 minutes and immediately go back to his room. He would answer me when I talk to him, but his mind seems to be occupied with the game, and he doesn't respond very enthusiastically. I realize that I have stopped talking to him too. Before I know it, I realize that I only ever see him either sleeping, eating, or playing games. Even on my days off, he still plays games all the time. Every time I return home, there are more game-related devices. I'm slowly beginning to have more and more complaints, but I'm in a position where he does the housework for me, so I'm patient and say nothing, thinking this will get better when the tournament he mentioned is over. I am as busy as ever with work, and am unable to do the housework myself, so the house keeps getting messier and messier. One time, when I haven't had a day off in a while, I am about to take a bath but realize we don't have any clean towels, so I have to go to laundromat in the middle of the night. Even with the house in such a state and seeing me go through such accidents, Sean is so absorbed in playing video games that he doesn't seem to care. One day, I come home and start to take a shower, but realize that the hot water isn't working. I rush out of the shower, put my clothes back on, and go to check the mail. I find not only the bills for gas, but also for electricity and water. Several months of them. I go outside to go and make all the payments. It is a very cold day and I am shivering. It is not that long of a walk, but it feels further away than usual, and for some reason, I start crying. I feel like the Sean I knew is gone, and that the happy days that we had will never return. If I had properly told him off the first time I found out about the games, would things have been different? Did I make a mistake? The more I think about it, the more painful it becomes. I have reached the end of my patience. I arrived home, wiped away my tears so that Sean would not know I had been crying, and said to him, "Didn't you pay the utility bills?" But he just answered with, "Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to, but I forgot." He is very matter of fact. Later, while taking a bath, I look back at what happened today and keep asking myself the same questions. It seems strange. Right after we got married, I heard that Sean had made sure the utility cost would be paid by automatic debit, and even thought I was handing him extra money. It was a wonder where he had enough money to buy so many gaming equipment that looked so expensive too. I get out of the bath and check the account for living expenses. I see there is not even enough money left in the account for a month's worth of gas. I look through the figures carefully and find that the full amount has been withdrawn the day after I wired the amount. Feeling a little bit bad, I check the contents of my husband's wallet, which is left in the living room. I find a card that allows you to add money to the games, and receipts from electronic stores where he must have bought the gaming devices. So many of them. All the amounts on the receipts are expensive. Something snaps inside of me. I cannot forgive him. If he is spending the money I have worked so hard to earn on these games, I find myself going to the room where Sean is playing the game, and I force the power off the computer. "Hey, what are you doing? I was so close to winning!" My husband yells at me in a voice I have never heard before. I am scared as I think he may even hit me, but I can't step back now. I decide to say everything I wanted to say. "Stop this! I can't stand it any longer. What are these receipts? There's no money in our account either. You're spending all my money on games, aren't you?" "What? You're the one who said I can spend the money on my hobbies, so shut up. How could you look into my wallet without asking? Did you shut this game down just to say that?" "I was winning, you know. I can't believe it. I only said you could spend the money if there was any left. Anyone should understand that. You're a stay-at-home husband and you don't even do the housework. If you won't, go and find a job. Earn yourself some money if you have things you want to spend it on. I'm not going to let you spend any of my money on games any longer. If you're going that far, I'm leaving. You can't do anything without me. Don't take housework for granted, you know. You should be grateful to me." He picks up just his wallet and phone and leaves the apartment. His parents' house is far away, so I guess he must have gone to a friend's place. I feel slightly better now that I had said everything I had been feeling. However, I'm not done. Sean is probably going to come back when he feels he wants to play the games again, or when he doesn't have any more money left. He isn't gone for good, and he's not going to come home a different man. As far as I can tell, it seems he needs the games more than he needs me. I cannot forgive him. The next day, I have a day off, so I sell all the gaming equipment that Sean has and go to receive the divorce papers. I send the rest of Sean's belongings to his parents' house, along with the papers signed on my side. I cancel the apartment contract, which had been in my name, and go to rent a new apartment. I also reach out to a moving company. Several days later, I move to a new apartment, see the old apartment off, go to the bank, and also cancel the account for our living expenses, as this was also in my name. With everything done, I feel wonderful. The day after I cancel the account is when the living expenses would usually be deposited. In the morning, around the time I arrive to work at the clinic, I receive several calls from Sean, but I ignore him because I am working. The phone rings once every several minutes, so the battery dies before noon. Once I finish work in the evening and turn my phone on, I receive another call from Sean. I answered and he screams, "Oh, I can't enter the account or our apartment. I got a call from Mom too. What did you send her?" I moved. There's nowhere for you to go home to anymore. I've sent your stuff and the divorce papers to your parents' house, so you be sure to look through everything when you're there.
What do you mean? We never say anything about the divorce. I don't have a job, you know.
Who do you think you are? You can't enter the account because I canceled it. I'll be requesting you a compensation, so you really should find work, you know. Okay, bye. I hear him still screaming something, but I hang up. After that, I feel relieved of my burden, and I decided to go to a bar that I often went to as a medical intern, to drink as much as I like. Several days later, I finish work late at night and leave the clinic, exhausted, when I see Sean and his parents waiting for me outside.
I'm sorry for what Sean did to you. He told me everything. It's all his fault, and he's very sorry. So please, can you forgive him? We're ever so sorry. But for a year, I'm sure our son did well handling the housework. He just gave in to temptation for a while, but it won't happen again.
As soon as they see me, both of Sean's parents apologize to me. Sean is standing between them, crying. I'm sorry, but I have no intention of forgiving your son. I've been working until this late and I am exhausted. So please, can you leave now? With this, Sean starts swelling.
I am so sorry. I will do the housework again, please.
I don't need you to do the housework. I've made up my mind. So please, just sign the divorce papers. If you find work, you'll be able to do what you like with your own money, you know. But Sean changes his attitude completely and looks angry.
Then give me back my gaming equipment. What did you do with them?
Oh, those things? I sold everything. Why don't you find work and buy everything back?
What? You've got to be kidding me!
He is a completely different man to who he was several minutes ago, and is screaming angrily. These must be his true colors. You're the one who's got to be kidding. Do you think I don't know? When I turned on your computer after you left, it automatically signed into your WhatsApp account. That's how you set it up, right?
Huh?
Sean looks anxious. I see you've been messaging lots of girls that I don't know about. I've saved all the messages, and it seems some of them you started messaging just after we got married, right? Do you want me to read them out loud?
Wait a moment.
With this, Sean's parents seem to have understood everything. They suddenly look furious.
What do you think you're doing? No, I can explain.
Sure, he can explain. It seems he let multiple girls into the house while I was at work. One of them liked gaming, so they started playing these games together, which began Sean's obsession with games. So, my lawyer's going to reach out to you soon, okay? And with that, I run off. I don't want to make a scene outside my own clinic this late at night. Sean tries to come after me, but his dad drags him back onto the car. Later, we have discussions through our lawyers, and although it takes time, I finally get a divorce. I am able to request Sean to pay back the money he spent as well as a compensation. It seems Sean's parents have told him to look for work, but he keeps trying to play games to meet new girls, so they are making sure he only has limited access, like with the child's phone. My clinic is working out as good as ever. Up until now, I have been the only surgeon there, but as new clients are coming every day, I am now able to hire another surgeon. This means I am working slightly shorter work hours than before. I am now able to use my time to cook. I do still make mistakes, but I feel like I am getting better every time I try. When I can find more time, I hope to start attending cooking classes.
My name is Emma. My husband Lucas and I have been married for almost 2 years. We originally met through our work, and we started dating soon after we met each other. In our second year of dating, Lucas proposed to me. I said yes because I had longed to have a family, but also I was already 32 years old when he proposed. My friends and colleagues around me were gradually getting married, and I might have been feeling a little rushed. I loved Lucas, and I was sure if I married him, I would be able to build a happy family with him because he was always so kind and cheerful. However, about 6 months before we got married, my husband's father, the man who would have been my father-in-law, passed away. He had been suffering from a chronic illness, and I heard he wasn't in a very good condition. At that time, we had already started making plans for the wedding, and my husband and I were both surprised and upset. After discussing it with my husband and his family, we decided to go ahead with the wedding as planned. But I guess the shock of losing a family member was still too much for them. Lucas was busy with his work, but he kept coming back to his parents-in-law's house because my mother-in-law was very exhausted after her husband's death. Lucas was worried about her too. I had seen her a few times, but after losing her husband, she couldn't even eat. So my husband visited his parents' house every day to take care of her. I was also worried about my mother-in-law, so I sometimes went with my husband, but my mother-in-law was in a rough condition to talk to me. 1 month before the wedding, my husband made a proposal to me. If things continue as they are, my mom may go crazy. I'm thinking of moving in with her when we get married. So, what do you think, Emma? To be honest, I didn't know what to say. It's not that I don't like my mother-in-law. I know that my husband is worried about her so much. But it's a different story when you are asked to move in and live with in-laws. Let me think about it, okay? I told him that and asked him to give me a few days to think about it. I talked to my parents and thought a lot about what I should do. As a result, I came to the conclusion that living with my mother-in-law would be the best way for me to spend my days with my husband, whom I loved very much. To be honest, I'm not so sure I'm keen on the idea. But even if I start a new life with my husband, he will continue to worry about my mother-in-law. And if my husband has to go to his parents-in-law's house as often as he does now, even after marriage, I thought it would be better for us to live together to start with. My husband was very happy when I accepted to live with mother. Thank you so much. Mom will be very happy. His face lighted up, and it made me happy too. In fact, when I went to my parents-in-law's house before the wedding, my mother-in-law said to me, I am sorry, Emma. You have to live with me all of a sudden. But thank you. I'm glad you are going to be my son's wife. That's what she said to me. I knew that my mother-in-law was a sweet person. And because she raised my husband, I thought Lucas was, of course, a wonderful person. So I wasn't too worried at this time. I didn't know that my life with my mother-in-law was about to start like that. A few days after, we went to my parents-in-law's house to say hello. We had a successful wedding ceremony. With the blessings of many people, we became husband and wife. The next day, we started preparing to move to my in-laws' house in earnest. I was also working, so I was busy every day. But after we moved in, my mother-in-law became cheerful day by day. She always prepared meals for us on weekdays because she knew we were both working. She also does the shopping for us on a regular basis. Mom gets so much better now. I guess it's hard to be depressed when you have someone to live with. My husband seemed very happy to say that. Seeing such a happy husband, I couldn't help but began to smile. One day, after about 2 years of such a smooth, cohabiting and newlywed life, it was a sudden event. I happened to take a weekday off to use my paid vacation. I usually leave the housework to my mother-in-law, so I decided to do it all by myself that day. As I was preparing for lunch, she spoke to me from behind. "Oh, thank you, Emma. I'll help you with something too." "It's okay. I always leave it to you. Please, let me handle it today." "Oh, really? I'll be happy to then." While chatting with my mother-in-law, who was as friendly as ever, I prepared lunch. And when it was ready, I put it on the table and we sat down to eat. Then, my mother-in-law opened her mouth. "Listen, Emma, this may not be the best time to ask, but I wonder if you can have a baby yet." "Excuse me?" She suddenly asked me a question I never thought I'd be asked. The side dish I was holding on slipped out from between the fork. Seeing me like this, she continued, "Well, you've already been married for a year, and you still can't even have your first child?" That's what she said, and I was at a loss. It's not that we don't want children, but I didn't happen to be pregnant yet. "Well, Mother, they say that children are a gift, and I'm letting my timing and Lucas's timing take care of itself." When I replied with a smile, my mother-in-law's face instantly turned grim. "Timing? What are you talking about? You have to have children while you are young. Do you understand? You don't want to give birth to your child when you are older, do you?" Saying that, she put down her fork and stared at me. "It's not right that you can't conceive a single child after being married for a year and a half," she told me firmly. Maybe my mother-in-law does have a point. I've always had irregular cycles, and I never really paid much attention to it. My mother-in-law told me that maybe there was something wrong with me, and that's when I started to think about it. As a result, Lucas and I decided to go for a fertility test together during his next day off. I was very anxious inside during the test. It turned out that my body had a constitution that made it difficult for me to conceive a child. I was not sure what to do. But after consulting with Lucas, we decided to share this to my mother-in-law. "May I have a word with you?" After dinner, we decided to tell her the truth. "What do you want to talk about? What's wrong?" With my husband by her side, my mother-in-law remained in her usual gentle mood and I didn't feel the pressure I felt the other day. But I couldn't start a conversation because I knew it wasn't a good news. Then my husband opened his mouth instead.
Mom, maybe we won't be able to have a baby until later.
And in the worst case scenario, we may not be able to have a baby. Then my mother-in-law's eyes widened at my husband's words, and she said, "Wait a minute. What are you talking about? Are you kidding me? We've been tested. And it turns out that Emma is constitutionally incapable of conceiving a child." I continued to feel awkward. My mother-in-law was staring at me, and I could feel it even if I didn't want to.
Is it true, Emma?
My mother-in-law questioned me like that, and I replied, "Yes, I'm sorry." That was all I could say that day. But the next day, my hell began. My mother-in-law, who had been so kind to me, started to ignore me. My husband used to be the first to eat breakfast, so I ate with my mother-in-law after him. But for some reason, my mother-in-law started eating alone. "Please don't eat my food without my permission. There is no portion for you." That's what she told me when I tried to prepare my own portion. If I tried to make my own meal, my mother-in-law would say I was in the way. I couldn't talk back, so I ended up going to a deli and grabbed some sandwiches before going to work. One day, before going to bed, my husband said to me, "Emma, I know you're busy, but could you please do your chores a little better?" "What?" "Don't let my mom do all the work. I know she does all the housework for you. Besides, my wardrobe is too messy lately, you know. Can you put my clothes and stuff more neatly?" I never knew what that meant. I always do laundry for me and my husband, and I am the one who puts them in my husband's wardrobe. But every time I put it in there, I fold it neatly and put it in neatly. I even folded them yesterday, like I always do. But he never listened to me.
Then look at it later. It's a mess.
With that, he went to bed. I looked at his wardrobe and found it was a real mess, a complete change from when I put it away. What's this? Who would do such a thing? You don't even have to think about it. My mother-in-law is the one who is home alone all day. But I thought maybe it just happened to be messed up when my husband was taking it out. I decided to wait and see. But the next day, Lucas told me something I never thought I would hear.
"Emma, are you harassing my mom?"
"What? What are you talking about?" I was so confused because I had no idea what he was talking about.
Don't play dumb with me. You broke her mug cup today, didn't you?
Well, she dropped it herself. I didn't even touch it. It was the day my mother-in-law bought her favorite mug cup. I know that while I was hanging the laundry out to dry, I heard a rattling sound coming from inside the house, and my mother-in-law was lamenting about it. But for some reason, my husband didn't believe me.
How come you did such a thing, knowing that the mug was her favorite?
He blamed me. My husband didn't believe me, even though I repeatedly tell him that I didn't do it. On the contrary, he takes my mother-in-law's side without any proof, keeps accusing me of doing it. Why do you always believe what your mother says? I told you I didn't do it. And I didn't do anything to your wardrobe either. If anyone is going to make a mess, it's your mother. I'm the one being harassed. Why can't you see that? I got emotional and told him like that. Then my husband's face turned red in anger. That's enough. How much more can you make my mother look bad? That's why he yelled at me. I froze on the spot because I never heard him say such a thing before. Then my husband sighed and said, Whatever. I'm disappointed in you. Go home to your parents for a while and cool off. Then he walked out of the room. Cool off? Me? I honestly didn't know what was going on. But it was true that I didn't want to be in this house any longer. I went back to my parents' house with some necessities. My parents were surprised that I suddenly came home. But when I told them about what happened, they said I didn't have to go back. The stress of being away from my parents-in-law's house was rapidly disappearing. I was commuting to work from my parents' house and was living a reasonably fulfilling life. About a month later, I got a text message from my husband. Emma, I know you want to come home. I will forgive you if you apologize to my mom. The moment I saw that email, I felt a surge of anger towards my husband and mother-in-law that I almost forgotten about. Why should I apologize? Why do I have to be the bad guy? Okay, I'm going home tomorrow. I text him back. The next day, I went to my parents-in-law's house to take revenge on my husband and mother-in-law. After work, I went there for the first time in a month and I pressed the intercom. My mother-in-law answered. My husband had not come home from work yet. As soon as she saw me, I'm so glad you finally came home, Mrs. Bad Wife. I wonder if you've reflected on what you did. She smiled at me as if she was looking down on me inside. I was taken to the living room, but as expected, my mother-in-law's ranting didn't stop until my husband returned. I heard you told Lucas that it was my fault. How could he believe that? You are just a stranger to us. You've been in the way from the beginning, you know? I wanted to yell at her, but I held it in until my husband came home. He came home a few minutes later. Emma, did you apologize to her? That was the first thing he said. No, I didn't. There's nothing to apologize for. When I said that, my mother-in-law and my husband stormed in on me. If that's the case, why did you come back? I was trying to get you to come back to live with us. I took a deep breath and said, Thank you for everything you have done for me. That's what I came here to say. My husband and my mother-in-law froze at these unimaginable words. And then I took the divorce papers out of my bag and held them out to my husband. I've had enough of playing family with you two. Let's go back to being strangers. When I said that, Lucas got angry with his face deep red. Of course then. Let's do that right now. Then he got desperate, signed the divorce papers, and pushed them on me. That's enough. You get the hell out of my house, you trashy wife. You just harassed my mother so much. I laughed and laughed in response. What's so funny? I'm sorry. It's just so stupid. You still think you were right about your mother? Lucas was upset when I said that and said, What? Of course, she's right. And then I showed him a video. The screen was blacked out, but it was a recording of my mother-in-law's outburst at me. What the? My mother-in-law's face turned pale as she listened to it. Hey, what the hell is this? He asked to his mother, but I answered instead. I have heard a lot of abusive words from your mother. So I've been making a video whenever I am alone with her, ever since I had the idea. Then, why didn't you show it to me earlier? And then this wouldn't have happened. I was so disappointed in Lucas, who again blamed me for his own mistake. How funny! If I hadn't shown it to you, you wouldn't even have believed me, right? We are husband and wife, and you didn't intervene or try to solve the problem. You only took your mother's side. When I said this to him, he fell silent and turned his head down. By the way, I didn't do the wardrobe thing either. If you think I'm lying, go to the police and ask for fingerprints or whatever they do. I'm sure your mother's fingerprints are all over the place. When I said that, he huffed and said, Mom, please say she is lying. He confirmed it to her with a pale face. As expected, my mother-in-law was intimidated by the word police. She didn't deny what she has done so far. So, I'm going to say goodbye now. Bye. As I was about to leave, my husband came up behind me and said, Wait, Emma, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. He began to string together lines that I've only seen in a comic book. But my feelings have not changed. Be good to your favorite mother. With that, I left my parents-in-law's house. After that, my husband contacted me a lot for a while, but I ignored him completely. I even hired a lawyer. I sued my ex-husband and my mother-in-law for alimony, claiming emotional distress, but it wouldn't make any difference. I was able to get them to pay me a reasonable amount of money. I don't know what my ex-husband and mother-in-law are doing now, and I am not interested in that. I now rent an apartment near my parents' house, and I am living a much more fulfilling life than before. I realized that marriage is not something to be rushed into, and that you should get married only after you know your partner's family properly. From now on, I would like to make the most of my reflection and try to be a better judge of people.